If you've ever wondered what it's like to be a real estate investor, well, let me show you an email I just got from a property manager which came in right around midnight. Here's what he said. Some random idiot drove a car into the address of the property a few minutes ago, close to midnight. Police and fire came out. I'm going to send a crew in the AM to board up the property and secure it up, but please call insurance and file a claim. Turns out a random guy who was drunk was driving the car while drunk, and he drove the car into this property. Now, fortunately, nobody was hurt. Nobody in the property who was living there was hurt, and the driver was also not hurt. But somebody's got to deal with this. This is a property that I own. This is a property that people are living in. Tenants are paying rent there. And now this property is destroyed because a random guy got drunk, decided to drive, and drove his car into the property. Now let me explain what this means from a business perspective and what this means from a me perspective. Because from a business perspective, what this means is this property's got to be taken care of. And now you have a tenant that's living in a property that's half destroyed because somebody drove into it. And the person that's living there, a tenant, is not going to want to pay rent on a half-destroyed property. But me as an owner, I own this property. I still got expenses to pay. I still got things to take care of, but I'm also running a business. So I know that no tenant is going to want to pay full price to live in a property that's half-destroyed. Then the flip side, somebody's going to have to pay to fix this property. And it's not going to be the drunk driver. So this money's going to have to come out of me. Now, fortunately, I have insurance on this property. And so insurance was writing the check to cover the cost, but I still got to pay the insurance fees every single month. And when you file an insurance claim, you know what happens? Insurance prices go up. But then you also have to think about, well, who's going to take care of the day-to-day? Because my property manager had to figure out what happened through an emergency phone call almost at midnight. Now, I don't manage my properties myself. I hire a property manager for this reason exactly because I don't want to be the person that's getting these calls. I go to sleep before midnight. So I was sleeping when this email came in. I saw it in the morning. But the property manager's job is to take care of these issues. So now the property manager gets a call close to midnight that something happened at this property. They have no idea what happened. In the morning, they have to call the construction company. They have to call the people to go out to the property, to board it up, to secure it. And now they have to work with the city. They have to work with the construction company. They have to work with the tenant. And they have to work with the insurance company to coordinate everything. Not to mention, I think they also had to work with the police and fire department because, well, there was a drunk driver involved. I'm not really sure what happened with that drunk driver. So this is where now, when you own properties, when you own real estate, things happen. That's a part of business. But you have to make sure that you protect yourself, and sometimes crazy things will happen. And guess what? You as the investor, you as the business owner, you have to figure out how to navigate these situations. Because I could say, you know what, tenant, I'm not going to reduce your rent because I got expenses to pay. I still got to run my business. I still got to run my expenses. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to leave because they don't have a full functioning property to be in. So you have to be a little bit understanding of what is going on from a business perspective. And you want to also make sure you're managing your finances in a way that you have money to put aside. That way, when things like this happen, you can also have some cash to fall back on. That way you don't now start running out of money just because you're not getting rent for a couple months. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because there's a lot of talk on the internet about how real estate investing is a simple and easy way for you to generate cash flow. And I love investing in real estate, and I am a big advocate for it. And I think that you should invest in real estate if that's something that you want to do. I talk about that a lot. I think there's a lot of benefits to real estate. You can get cash flow. You own a hard asset. You get tax breaks. But you got to also understand that you are an operator when you invest in real estate. Let me show you what that means. Because if you go out to the stock market and you invest in the Amazon stock and somebody drives their car into an Amazon warehouse, it doesn't really affect you when you invest in the stock because you're not an operator. That affects the operators, that affects the employees, that affects the people that are working inside of the company. When you're just an owner and not an operator, you don't really have to worry so much about the day-to-day stuff. All you got to make sure is the company that I'm invested in a good company and providing me the yields that I want? All you're doing is worrying about the money. But when you are an operator, like you are with real estate, now you have to worry about what's happening on the inside as well. Now, sure, you can hire a property manager, which I highly recommend you do. I don't want to be in the business of managing properties. I want to be in the business of investing in properties and finding more properties and managing the deals that I have because I have a full-time job. I mean, I run Briefs Media, which is the company that I do, so I already have a full-time job. I don't want to manage the properties. But this is where, if you want to be in the business of investing in real estate, you got to know the difference between investing and managing the properties. Now, even if you're not managing the properties, you still have to do some overseeing. You got to make sure that you have a good property manager. You got to make sure your property manager is paying you. You got to make sure you're not overpaying in fees. You got to make sure that your business is operating properly, but it's semi-passive because your operations now are not dealing with phone calls, talking to the insurance company, talking to the tenant, talking to the contractor. You can pay a property manager to do that. Your job is to understand, here's what's happening. Something happened to this property. These things have to be done. Okay, take care of it. I made one call to the insurance company, and then I told the insurance company, talk to my property manager. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to deal with it. Talk to him. And the thing about investing in real estate is there's always going to be a story. There's always going to be something crazy that happens. And you got to just kind of expect that. In the beginning, it is very tough and is very stressful because you might not have a big cash balance to kind of fall back on. You might not have the mental capacity to deal with the stress. But eventually, when you get punched in the face again and again and again and again, you start to build thicker skin. It might not happen on the first deal, it might not happen on the second deal, but by the third or fourth deal, you're going to start really developing the thicker skin to deal with things. The first property that I purchased it back when I was 19. This was a different market. We're talking 2011, when real estate prices were so much cheaper than what they are today. I was investing in Metro Detroit where you can buy a property for under $10,000. The first property that I purchased, I was very naive. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know any real estate investors. So I decided to get a property manager, but not work with them. I decided to find the tenant myself because I was just anxious and I didn't want to wait for my property manager to find a tenant. I found a tenant myself. I put the tenant in the property and they turned out to be a nightmare tenant. And now they had my phone number. And now every single day, I'm in school, I'm still in college, I'm getting calls day and night from a property manager about the craziest things. They're cutting cucumbers on the countertop. They forgot to use a cutting board to scratch the countertop and now they want a new countertop. They see the light go out and they think that this whole property is going to implode. And this continued going on until ultimately these tenants filed a lawsuit against me, or rather my real estate company, because I don't own any properties under my own name. I own them under an LLC. They filed a lawsuit against my LLC because they claimed that the bathtub was too slippery when the water was on. True story. We went through this lawsuit. Luckily, again, insurance was here. Insurance paid for the fees, which is why you gotta have insurance. But then we found out during this lawsuit that they didn't actually slip and fall at my property. They didn't slip and fall in the bathtub. They slipped and fell at a friend's barbecue and were trying to get some money from this quote-unquote rich landlord. But what they didn't understand was I'm just a college kid trying to figure out what the heck real estate investing is myself. And you got to go through these hurdles. That's why I always say, I want to be real when it comes to real estate investing. You got to go through this hurdle. And this hurdle is tough because one, it's a financial hurdle. You have to invest some money to get started, but it's also a mental hurdle where you're going to have to go through some crap. You're going to have to deal with some bad contractors. That's how you find good contractors. You're going to have to deal with some bad property managers. That's how you find good property managers. You're going to have to deal with some bad tenants. That's how you find good tenants. But that's how you learn. Now, you should 100% be investing in books, maybe some classes, maybe some coaching, depending on what it is that you're looking to do. That can help you lower that curve to get you to where you want to go faster. But that's a part of the process. You cannot bypass the experience because real estate investing is very powerful. There is so much value with real estate investing. I mean, you can build so much wealth with real estate because number one, you're owning a physical asset and then you get the cash flow. If you do it properly, this cash flow is after paying for all of your expenses, putting some money in your pocket every single month, and now you can work to stack the cash flow. And then on top of that, you get tax benefits on that cash flow. You get tax benefits if you sell your property for a profit. And on top of that, you also get appreciation if property prices continue to rise. Now, I don't like to talk about appreciation that much because you can't predict appreciation. Like, you really don't know what home prices are going to be next year or 5 years from now or 10 years from now, which is why I never look at appreciation as a factor when I'm considering a deal. That's just icing on the cake. If you get it, great. If you don't get it, oh well. But you can predict and calculate cash flow, rental income much better because you can kind of get an idea of what is the market rent today. If we can lease this property today, what kind of rents are we going to get? What are the expenses going to be? And now you can get a much better idea of how much money you're going to make this year, next year, and the year after that. So you can kind of project how much money this property is going to make. And that's why when I look for real estate investment deals, I'm looking at cash flow. Is this property going to cash flow? Yes or no? If yes, is it enough cash flow? Now, enough cash flow is a very subjective term. For me, what I'm looking for is a 7% cash on cash return, meaning for every dollar that I invest, I want 7 cents of cash flow. If I invest $100,000, I want $7,000 a year in cash flow. Now, is that a lot or a little bit? It just depends on you, your goals, and where you're investing and what types of properties that you're investing in. But this is where what you got to understand is real estate is great. There's a lot of really good things that come out of real estate. You got the cash flow, you got the tax benefits, you own a physical asset. But it comes with its own risks as well. What are the risks? The risks are you could see an economic crash. Rental prices could fall. Property prices could fall. Tenants could destroy your property. Or a random dude driving down the street who's drunk can drive their car into your property. And sometimes you don't believe that these things are going to happen until it happens to your property. And what else you realize is the more properties you buy, the more crazy things you see. But this is where now you got to understand that the crazy things are a byproduct of the good things. You get the good things, but the good things come to crazy things. And what you got to do is understand how to deal with the crazy things so that way you can keep your eyes on the good things and keep getting more of the good things. Because at the end of the day, real estate is one of the biggest wealth building tools in this country. Is there some crap that you have to deal with? Absolutely. But you can help mitigate that crap by building a good team. That way when these things happen, you can refer them out and you don't have to spend your time doing it, because I just don't understand how real estate investors can sit there talking on the phone with tenants all day and night long about, are you going to pay rent? Who's going to deal with this repair? Who's going to deal with the property taxes? I don't want to deal with that. I don't even know the names of the tenants in my properties. I want to own the properties, renovate them, make sure they're really nice, and then hand over the keys to the property management company, and then let them deal with all the day-to-day stuff. That's the way that I look at real estate investing. But you got to understand that sometimes things will come up like this, and you just got to know how to deal with them. There are two different types of statements that you want to look at: 10Ks and 10Qs. 10Qs are your quarterly financial statements. Your 10Ks are your annual financial statements. What you want to look for are three different things: the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow statement. These are the three main financial statements that every publicly traded company, every stock in the stock market has to publish.